Hi, my name is Brianna Manassi, and this is my Lesson 14 Reflection Analysis video. Number 1, why is it important for company leaders to seek employee feedback about their successes and challenges? And what should leaders do with the feedback they obtain? I believe that giving and receiving feedback is very essential, a part of this type of engagement. Effective communication helps build relationships. It helps retain the most top talent in the company. It also helps with the expansion of the company and retaining your customer base. It helps elevate your employer's brand as well. So encouraging feedback helps your team members open up and be more comfortable and to be able to voice their opinions about your leadership. So it gives them the opportunity to convey what works for them and what doesn't work for them in terms of leadership. So it's vital for a manager to engage with their employees because it's one of the main concerns in companies today. So being able to keep team members motivated it could be an ongoing struggle for some leaders, and I suspect that those type of leaders probably aren't using feedback effectively. So employees who are made to just work and without receiving any type of feedback, and they can ultimately begin to feel annihilated, and maybe they start to feel like they're not like a part of the team. So as a result, their motivation tends to decline, which leads to reduced productivity and their overall quality of work. So encouraging feedback helps your team members open up and voice their opinions about your leadership. So it's vital that managers are able to openly communicate with their employees and exchange feedback, because it can create a positive work environment that supports strong job performance. So feedback can be superior to employee on how to improve a process, or it could be an employee to manager on the type of communication style that works best for that employee. For instance, let's talk about sports, like a coach who preaches about like a basketball coach who lets their team players know that they must have the correct form and positioning and footing on their free throws in order to increase their percentages and optimize their form. Or golfers who need to have the proper follow through in order to perfect their drives or putts. Or hockey players that are being constantly told by their coaches to follow through on their shots to achieve maximum accuracy and power. So overall, these benefit and contribute the overall positive employee engagement. So in turn, on an organizational level, employee feedback is important because it directly impacts both human resources and key performance indicators like employee retention, employee morale, company culture, and building skills. So, number 2, why is it necessary or desirable for employees to understand why a company change is taking place? And to what extent do you think this practice best fits and is actually followed in real world? Excuse me. So, I believe that it's necessary or desirable for employees to understand how and why a company is changing, and why it's taking place, because it helps them prepare themselves for new roles or responsibilities that may come with that company change, or help them adjust to that change mentally. So ultimately, organizational change can happen for several reasons, whether it's financial concerns, a merger or acquisition, a company that wants to expand their markets, or just accommodating growth and a simple shift in a business model. So whatever the reason, change is almost it could be difficult for some employees, but I believe that before announcing the change to an employee, it's vital for the company leaders to put themselves in their shoes so that they can understand how their employees or team members may react to that news. So it could just mitigate the risk to a company's unnecessary stress on them. So I've been in this situation a couple of times where my previous jobs were in the process of filing for bankruptcy. And this was even prior to COVID. So when I was working the first time, it was when I was working in Forever 21 as the assistant store manager. And we found out at first by the customers rather than the company. And once the company eventually came out and made an announcement saying that the company is filing for bankruptcy, I immediately took action and decided to put in different applications for other retail management positions because I didn't want to be laid off. Because life goes on and bills still have to be paid. So I made that decision there, and I also made the decision when I was working at New York and Company. This was after COVID. I was working there for 3 weeks, and probably the second week of March, around my birthday, is when the company announced that we were going to be shutting down and employees were going to be on furlough. So, again, took action, and once we were out of quarantine for about 2 months, I put in applications to anywhere that was hiring, and eventually I did land a job in another retail management position. So because of this and my experience from it, I do think that it's vital for companies to keep their employees alerted in regards to company changes, because when employees don't understand why changes are happening, it can create a barrier to drive ownership and commitment and keep company loyalty, which can result in employees being resistant to the change. So I think that employee resistance to change is a leading factor for why many companies, their transformations or organizational failures happen. So, number 3, do you think that promoting a communal culture is compatible with promoting company diversity? Why or why not? So I think that promoting diversity and developing a global mindset through cross-cultural understanding is compatible with promoting company diversity. So promoting inclusiveness and diversity within your workplace is one of the best ways to foster a open-minded company culture. So because of this, not only does this make good business, it's a good business sense with helping your company to better understand their colleagues or clients or customers. it also makes the workplace more interesting it and personally enriching environment for everyone. So whether you're working at a small startup business or you're a part of a large multinational corporation, there's a lot of benefits with having diversity in the workplace, and being equally compelled in business environments. So diversity can come in many forms, from culture to nationality, gender, race, sexuality, your person's educational background, and plenty more. So creating a work environment where you have different perspectives and they're valued and they're being embraced can go a long way to have a productive business relationship with your team members. So it doesn't matter if you're in like a junior role, or if you're a manager, director, CEO, whatever. Actively seeking advice, ideas, and expertise from your colleagues will improve communication and create a more inclusive company culture. So I believe that this type of inclusive culture will in return help a company retain diverse talent and make your work environment more attractive, and it opens up your mindset it opens like the mindset of job seekers. So by just simply treating others the way that you could be treated will help with this. Number 4, do different cultures experience high or low power distance in business as a reflection of their mode of political governance? Explain your answer. So a culture that gives great deference to a person of authority is someone who is practicing a high power distance culture. And a culture that values the equal treatment of everyone they're practicing a low power distance culture. So in high power distance cultures, there are clear boundaries and roles, but there's inequality that is accepted and expected among team members. So there's typically a hierarchy that is clearly defined, and it's almost unquestioned, where inequality is expected, versus a low power distance culture where it's more of a democratic view, and members are treated equally rather than maintaining a specific social order based on, example, your sex or age. So in low power distance cultures, everyone is treated equally, and respect or power is earned rather than given simply on the basis of your heredity or other characteristics. So I believe that different cultures experience high power distance in businesses as a reflection of their mode of political governance, because in a high power distance business, employees understand their subordinate position to their employers. So as a result, they're more open to being submissive and more respectful to their superiors. And managers are more liable to give orders to employees than just consulting them in their everyday decision making.